friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Fiona and I'm a visual artist that specializes in bright, bold, colorful abstracts that spark joy, whether that's through painting, ceramic, or public art. And in my studio here, I like to take you with me on my artistic journey. So I share art supply hauls with you, we go out to see art exhibits, and so much more. So if that sounds like something you're into, please like and subscribe. It's one free click for you and it makes a big difference for my channel. All right, friends, I'm very excited for today's video. We are taking a trip over to Propagate Studios, which is a maker's market, a community space. There's workshops there, and there's also an art thrift shop. So if you've been following along, I recently made over my studio space here. So I have some art supplies I would like to donate. Let me show you. This 2 bags full of things to donate here. So I originally heard about Propagate Studios when West Windsor did a collaboration with them. They did a pay what you can art supply event. And I just thought that that was such a cool idea. And then I got to meet Sam, who is the owner of Propagate Studios, who's an amazing artist and maker in her own right. And she just runs this amazing business. She's really into connecting people and encouraging that creativity among makers and forging connections with people. So the idea that you can just pay whatever you want for art supplies was just mind-blowing. So we're going to hear more about this, what it looks like, and learn a little bit more about Sam, her work, and the space. So let's go.
Hi Fiona, welcome to Propagate Studio.
Lovely. Thank you for having us.
You are welcome. Take a look at our beautiful, colorful space. First enter here, I'll show you off my lovely creative vending machine, Big Bertha. She's filled with lots of local artists that have submitted their work here and sell with us. We have things like pins, mini pottery, stickers, and even stuff from our art supply thrift shop. And over here on the right is some of the stuff that I make. I've been really busy making this space, so I haven't had a ton of time to make my own art, but I do paint sometimes and I do some mixed media work. So all of the stuff is here for sale and hopefully I'll be adding more to it. And you can say hi to Skelly, Elvis, and Bob, our welcome wagon. They scare me every time I walk in the door because I forget that they're standing here. And actually I'll share this too behind you in this mural. We have people's names listed, and all of them are people that helped me start this place. So they are a part of the Founders Fund, and there's a couple other installations that you'll see throughout the space. But this mural was the highest here. People donated to help me open, and then they got their name in the mural. So when you come through this way, we have our art bar. This big bar was actually at a farm stand, and a friend of ours said, it's ours if we can get it out of her barn. So
we love that.
We got it out.
Yes, it looks great here.
Right? I know, it fits so perfect. And it's our checkout counter. We have some other things for sale. I have some of my mini pottery that I make.
Yeah, and you have a workshop on this as well.
I do, yes. Sometimes I'll do a mini pottery class where you'll throw on a mini wheel.
So cute. Yeah, all the workshops will be linked below, so make sure you guys check that out.
And you gotta love a sticker station. We have lots of sticker designs that I've created. And then we also have some other things that I've created, like my coloring book. This came out this year in February. My friend Karen Ald and I put it out in February. It's called Color, Love, and Kindness. And it's all about being creative, sending love and kindness in a creative, meditative process for us busy-minded people, because sitting in silence just doesn't always flow for you. So I'm a busy, creative person and love to color and work through things. So this is a great process, a great gift for people. And we have a video linked in it as well of us reading through the meditation that goes along with the book.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And over here we have my lovely girl Flo. She's my 1978 Volkswagen bus. She's the whole reason why we are in a space like this. Actually, I was looking for a place to pull her into because her engine broke down a couple years ago. We'll get into that story later. But so this whole space was in my mind many years ago, and she was always in the space. So this is super special to have her here with us. So I used to do mobile events with her, and now we have our own place. So we walk through this way. This is our main workshop space. We do multiple classes at a time if possible, but we set up our classes down here in this main area. And then over to our right, we have our pottery area. We do hand building, throwing classes, a little bit of everything. We have open studios as well. And it's just another flexible space. I recently painted the floors and I really love them.
I love it too.
I love adding paint onto any surface I can.
Paint on concrete too. You're
Oh my gosh.
brave. You're a brave person.
So much fun. So we have lots of flexible space in here, and I love adding more to it every few days. It feels like I'm always adding something new in here. But as time goes on, as I grow with my space and need more things for the business, we change things up. We had the artist alley for a little bit, and that was all lined up here. And then this May, we needed to expand our pottery classes, and we moved it around. So now we have the vending machine and condensed everyone instead.
Cute. Here's all the glazing.
Yes,
tests.
lots of glaze samples. Pottery takes up a lot of space, as you know. I mean, if you don't have the space, you keep it tight, but
No.
It's always great to have more space for it.
I understand.
This is one of my other little favorite spots. It's like my little like altar area where I do my like morning meditation, or I'll read my affirmation cards on my Instagram. If you follow me, I usually read a card whenever I first get here in the morning or at the end of the day, depending on when I remember to do it. Sometimes I'll read a poem, but it's just like fun little shelf. This is like my inner child area too, like having my Barbies here and having Bob here hanging out. It's just where I can put fun things that I've made, or remember to water my plants.
I love that.
So we can take a walk upstairs and I will show you the art supply thrift shop.
Yes. And I brought some donations.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see what you brought us. When you come up the stairs here, we have our little welcome area. We get so many random things donated, including sometimes a ton of handmade things that we just want to see loved and go to a good home. So if you don't know, our space is take what you'll use, pay what you can. So that means you can take whatever you want, and when you come downstairs, you get to tell me what you want to pay for things. So that really blows people's minds. So when you come here, know that, and maybe have a budget in mind of what you would like to spend. It's not about what the value of the items are, because everything is donated to us. So it's just, we're trying to keep things out of the landfill, make sure creatives get to use this amazing stuff. I'm a supply hoarder, so like I know that I have stuff that I won't use for a long time, so I'd rather someone actually use it. So we have a ton of fabric. We're always bringing up more. We also have sewing area. We have sewing machines for sale. We got cleaned out a lot this weekend, so we have to restock a little bit.
That's great.
But over on the side here, this is where we have our donation bin area. So when you bring your donations, you can put your stuff right in here. Oh, and look at this. Here's some of Fiona's stuff.
Look what I brought.
Whoa. Look at this. Ooh. Oh, that's fun. Wax stamp. Okay, I won't do a going through your entire donation part of this, but I want to.
Well, if you guys are interested to see what I had, that'll be in a member-specific video on my channel.
There you go.
So if you want to sign up for the membership, you can see what it is that I brought here.
Ever-changing things. I'm always surprised at what I see up here because I have some lovely people that help me. So there's always new surprises like creepy dolls. I will share this funny story. I say yes to most things donation-wise. I do have a yes please and no thank you list on our website, but sometimes I'm like, all right, someone will probably buy that maybe. And it relates to the dolls. So someone donated about a dozen porcelain dolls last year, and they had no hair, they had no clothes, and they were for sure haunted. And I was like terrified to have these things, and they would sell off every now and then. And then a couple came in and bought all of them in one shot and were thrilled because they were having a post-apocalyptic party and needed them for decor. So they like happily paid me a good amount of money for these busted up haunted dolls. And I said, thank you, goodbye. So you never know what'll sell. So I have a hard time saying no to anything now.
And the spirits have left this space.
Yes,
it is
they are
now officially no longer haunted in here.
Yeah. So we have this whole area now is our like kind of holiday themed stuff. all sorts of goodies.
Y'all, this is great. Come here and get your fall stuff.
You can come here first, and if you don't see what you need, we have a Michael's 10 minutes down the road.
There you go.
Look at this, a little
Perfect.
pill guy. You like do it on clothes, it like gets the pills
Oh,
off.
it gets the pilling. Oh my gosh.
I have to, again, I don't see what comes in a lot of times, so this is a new exciting experience for me too. But we have tons of sewing patterns. Oh my gosh. The beautiful thing about it is you don't have to necessarily use it for its initial or original purpose. I've had a lot of collagers buy patterns for the paper in it. They do collage work with it, whatever. So, and because you get to pay what you want for it, there's not that like, oh, I don't want to wreck it because I paid all this money for it, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can pay me $1 for it. I don't care. And then use what you want and use it how you want. So it's really exciting to see people get excited about what we have in stock here.
What do you find you get the most donations of?
Well, currently fabric is the winner. We have a woman who donated the I-cord, give us at least 50 bins of fabric. And we have more of it in our barn, like I mentioned, that we're like slowly processing. So we do have a hold on fabric for the moment, but that seems to be the most donated item. We also get a ton of yarn, but yarn is probably also the most bought item because everyone loves yarn. Yeah. So luckily that's like comes in and goes quickly. So let's come around and we'll go into the other section over here. Even the whole space of how we built everything, the items we are using were secondhand. So my mom was friends with a woman whose business was closing, and they were throwing out everything inside the office building, including the cubicle dividers. So these were free to us, and we've been repurposing them, and they're heavy AF. And so they probably won't ever leave this space.
They live here now.
Yeah, they live here now forever, but we're very grateful for them. All the shelving, we got secondhand. I got these things secondhand.
So the thrift shop is full of thrifted pieces, is
Yes,
what you're telling me.
100%. And that's a huge part of what I love sharing about our space is when I started, I didn't have a $10,000 savings that I spent, on fixtures and stuff. I was scrappy and went to, thrift stores and restores and Facebook Marketplace, not a sponsored ad, and got so much good stuff from there for super cheap or for free. And it's been a lot of fun kind of making it a game for myself as well, of like, what can I get to make this space more functional? Yeah. So as you look around here, you'll see we kind of have things as categorized as we can. We have like the whole fiber area. Yes. We have a whole book area.
Lots of knitting needles.
Oh my gosh. So that was all from one person as well too.
Oh my goodness.
That was from the Princeton sale that I met you at.
That's wild.
Yep.
I love a color coordinated yarn
Oh,
moment.
So like things that we grew up playing with and using as art supplies are also coming back into trend, and people are finding new ways to use them, which I love because then that means they don't live here forever and they actually get used. Tons of paint. The paint's always coming and going. The beading stuff is a huge seller.
There's just so much to see here.
In a tiny space too. Like people will spend like hours here. And I'm like, I forget they're up there. Are they still up here? But because there's so much to look through, like we try to organize things, make it clean and accessible, and not fully like a rummage sale where you have to dig through stuff. Yeah. But there's still a lot to look through.
Do you have a favorite part for yourself of the space?
Ooh, I mean, I just had our assistant Chrissy redo this yarn area.
Yeah.
Anything color coded, it makes me happy. So like this yarn area looks fabulous now. I'm thrilled with that.
Yes. I'm sure it's ever changing your favorite part.
It is. We used to have, again, these it was both of these were filled with rubber stamps. So one of our initial huge donations was someone who donated 800 wooden stamps. And it was like an uncle of theirs, and he had to move to an assisted living, and so they had to downsize all of his things, and so we've sold off most of them now, and people are still donating stamps as they come and go. But seeing all of them on these shelves was just beautiful. Chef's kiss. If you need a break while you're shopping and to contemplate what you're purchasing, we have a nice little lounge. And we have a book that is our like recipe book that I call, that has ideas in it of what to do with some of the supplies you see. So some of them are just like listed here. I also have some that have QR codes that go to YouTube videos. You can scan that. Some of them have very specific step-by-step directions. So just a thing to get your creative juices flowing when you're up here.
Great.
We also have bags, so you can help yourself and fill a bag or 2 or 20 and take that home. If you also want to donate bags to us, we will happily take them because they get used.
Excellent.
We are so thrilled to have people bring donations. You can bring them anytime we're open, which is Friday to Monday, 11 to 6. Or on our front porch, we have a donation bin that you can leave things when we're not open. And there's like a little log. You can write what you dropped off and when, and just so we know who's coming and going on premises here. And we have that yes, please, and no thank you list on our website. So you can check that out too.
Thank you so much for having us in your space. It's
You're welcome.
so great to see you in person. Obviously, you have a huge following on Instagram now.
Crazy.
And, you know, it's just been amazing to see that growth and now to actually be in the physical space. So thank you very much for having us here.
You're welcome.
I would love if you could just give a little introduction about yourself and yourself as an artist.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very creative home. My dad was a graphic designer, artist, like commercial artist. Went to school for that. My grandfather is a professional painter. My other grandfather made silk screens. My other grandfather was a woodworker. My great grandmother did crewel embroidery and fiber art. My grandmother, who's pictured in the back over there, was a other fiber artist. She taught me to crochet. So it's just like my lineage is full of creativity. And since I was little, I just had access to creative materials. My grandfather built me an easel that I learned how to pull the paper down from and like rip off myself. And so I was always doing things like that. I went to art school. I went to a liberal arts college. I had a fine art program up in Massachusetts and got my bachelor's in fine art in 2015. But even in college, I wasn't just like a one medium major. I kind of did everything. I became a painting concentration out of what I took the most classes in.
Yeah.
But I kind of did a little bit of everything for my senior thesis. I did photography, I did sculpture, I did everything. So I always have had multiple interests. And even like in high school, I went to a private high school that didn't have much funds for a creative department. So we had to use what we had. And that kind of is just like the theme throughout my life now, I've noticed. And I kind of love that because I think sometimes, especially if you go to a conservatory, you get pigeonholed into like, you're a painter or like you are a sculptor and that's all you're gonna do. And luckily my advisors in college were very gracious and like helping me kind of do all the things at once. So then I graduated in 2015 and I knew I didn't want to work for the man if I could help it and make my own creative path. I was lucky, I moved home. My parents allowed me to do my own creative work for the year, basically until student loans kicked in. So I did a lot of watercolor, a lot of just like being creative to be creative and not for homework's sake, which was like really important for that part of my life. And then I started my business soon after having this fire in my belly come up where I was like, I want to do something mobile. I want to move around. I want to do stuff. I've always been traveling and I wanted a Volkswagen bus. So my family had one when I was in high school named Monroe, and he tragically burned down while they were driving it.
Oh,
the
gosh.
engine caught on fire, very traumatic. And everyone was okay besides the bus.
Great.
Yeah, everyone was good.
R.I.P.
But,
Monroe.
yeah, so after that, I was like, oh, I'm just trying to convince my family to buy another bus. And they're like, no, we just bought a camper. Like, we're not going to buy another bus. And I was like, but I need it. And I was like, I had that moment of like, hang on. I'm an adult now. Like, I can make choices for myself. Though I'm living at home, I can make this passion project my life. And so months of searching, manifesting, I found Flo and had her shipped up to me on my birthday from South Carolina. Then I had her in the shop for many months, had to get it, fixed up, and then started the mobile art journey. So my original business was called Art Across Borders, which was my senior thesis name. So I kind of like transferred that to the business. and was doing mobile events with her until 2021. And lots of breakdowns in between, lots of art fairs, festivals, photo booths. I've kind of tried it all. She broke down in 2021, the ultimate breakdown. The engine needs to be replaced. It's a part in it that's built into the engine. It's not just a replaceable thing.
So when the bus broke down, is that when you decided to get a physical space?
So I had wanted a physical space before the bus broke down.
Okay.
I actually had looked at a space in a town I was living in during COVID. It was actually right before COVID hit. There was a space up for rent, and it was like $500. And I'm like, I can do anything for $500. Like, I can make this work. And then COVID hit, and my dad was like, please don't sign any leases. And I was like, Dad, it's gonna be 2 weeks. Relax, it's just a quick shutdown. It'll give me enough time to set the space up and then be open.
Right.
And luckily I did not listen to him, because we ended up moving anyways. We moved to Phillipsburg, where we live now. So the town we were in, I wouldn't have even been, I couldn't drive to work then in the same way. So I'd always envisioned having a space. Literally in my mind's eye, I would picture the bus in a big warehouse or barn or something, and I would work around it. I would have maybe even an apartment in it or something, and just have this space, be able to take the bus out. That part I wasn't super specific about, apparently, in my manifesting about getting to take the bus out of the space, because here she is and she's parked here and isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So always envisioned having a space, and then I was driving around, literally looking in our landscape here in Warren County for a barn or a warehouse, something, a garage, just to store the bus in. A second business was not in my mind. It was just my current business is failing, so I need to put this bus somewhere and figure out what I'm gonna do with my life now. I'm an artist, though. I paint, I do murals, I do other commission work, so I was gonna make it work. As I drove down Route 57 here, as I've done my entire life, I passed this space, which used to be a motorcycle repair shop for BMX bikes. And I've always passed it. They had this crazy sign out front that was a BMX bike with a dummy sitting on it. So it looked like a guy sitting up there, and it was freaky. Everyone in town knows it. And they had a huge for rent sign on one of the houses out front. And I was like, a mechanic shop. I bet they have a garage, because it's a garage, right? They work on the space. So I said, let me go. It was 3 days after the bus broke down. It was crazy. So I came in, met the landlord, saw the space, started dreaming, started just envisioning everything possible, and then was hit in the face with what rent would be.
Oh.
And I just felt like I was about 5 years old all of a sudden, and was like, what am I doing here? I can't do this. Who let me come in here and have this conversation? But in that conversation, I got to know our landlord. I got to find out he's also an artist, which is pretty rare for this area, for landowner. It's just not really typical out here.
Sure.
And I just was honest and kind of made him my best friend in my mind in first meeting him, where I was like, this can be an artist compound. I have ideas. And he was just like, okay, this chick, okay.
Yeah.
And I just asked for what I needed. I said, could we do a sliding scale lease where I eventually pay what you're asking, but I need to prove that I can do that first with this original business I have, and then coming into a physical space. I've never done that before. And at first he said, no. And then a month later he called and said, all right, let's talk.
Yeah.
So it's been that.
And you've been in
ever
this
since.
space now for 2 years, you said?
Yeah, yep. 2022 we moved in. So.
And
yeah.
it originally started as a maker's market, and then sort of transformed into the workshops. Can you just talk a bit about the transformation over those 2 years?
Yeah, so it was always workshop space, maker space, and then I had a small, we called it the pre-loved art supply section, a very small area of that. So we originally had artist booths where I had it on a rotating basis, where artists sold their work in a season. We had about 5 artists at a time. And then we ran that for over a year, and then things changed. And I was just being aware that it was taking up too much of our blueprint in here and not making me enough money. So I had to kind of shift that and change the layout. I had it become the artist alley, where I lined up all of the dividers that once divided the spaces into a long line, and had artists set their stuff up on the doors instead. And then we we're able to open that up to make our pottery space. So we had interest in growing pottery classes, and we're able to actually purchase a bunch of things secondhand from a studio closing. So I've always just been open to the space being flexible and changing with what people want and like what we can actually provide as well too.
Yeah. And then where did the art thrift shop come in?
Yeah, so that had started during COVID as well. In my mind, I had, heard about these creative reuse centers. I was like, I'm gonna collect people's art supplies during COVID times because everyone's cleaning their houses out. So I'm gonna go around, and I put on Facebook, if you put them out there, so no contact, and I will take your supplies and give them a new home someday, or sell them, or do something with it. So I was starting to collect things then, and it proved to be working, and tons of people gave me their stuff, and I had to put pause on it because I did not have a shop yet. I just had a basement. So when I opened the studio, I had plenty to stock an area with. But I was pricing things initially. I was pricing things at like yard sale prices, like pretty cheap. And ultimately, I got lazy and said, I don't care anymore what things cost or what people will pay me for it, because it's not the main thing we're doing. I just want to get this stuff into new homes and see what happens. So again, it was a flexible thing that happened. It went from inside to then we packed it up. We needed more space. We put it in our garage, opened up a sale in the garage twice a month, moved it to our barn where I like decked it out. I asked for what I needed, and that barn wasn't getting used. So my landlord said we could use it because, again, the sliding scale thing, I'm like, I'm paying more this year. Can I have this other space?
Right.
And he said, for sure. So there's no electric in it or anything. So I dolled it up, and we had a sale out there a couple times a month, kind of like a yard sale again, where it was like an event. And then in my fashion, I needed to move everything out of there before it became wintertime, because we're in New Jersey.
Yes.
So people won't go out there and shop when it's freezing. And we also acquired our upstairs space then last fall. So initially I was sharing this with my mom. She was using it for her stuff, and then I took it over entirely. So I had this empty space. And my initial plans fell through for how I wanted to use it, which was for artist spaces, for studios, and that didn't work out. So I said, you know what, let's move the thrift upstairs. So we pulley systemed all of the items through the window that's up there. Because walking around and up the stairs is crazy.
That is.
So that was my friend Maggie May's idea.
Shout out to Maggie.
Maggie May Craft, check her out.
Check her out, shout out.
But we hauled everything upstairs, and it's been just blooming and growing up there ever since.
That's excellent. I love the idea, and I've said this over and over, that art supplies are so expensive, and it's just such a fantastic resource for artists who are looking to even try something new. And you talked about, just take what you need and pay what you can. And I think that that's just amazing for artists to be able to explore something new, or even find stuff that they love to use at an affordable price.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a win-win-win-win-win. Like everyone wins in this situation. People get to, send their supplies to somewhere that's gonna, love them and get them into hands of people that will use them. A lot of thrift stores don't take art supplies, or, it's just like a very small area. So a lot of it ends up in the landfill. So it's like, it's just tragic thinking about all of this amazing supplies. It's tragic seeing anything new get thrown away, but stuff that still has life in it get thrown out is just, it sucks. And it's like, I know the feeling of like going through a loved one's home and like you don't know what to do with everything, or when you're moving yourself and you're like, I'm just sick of looking at this stuff. I need to get rid of it. This way, it has a place to come to. People have been mailing us their donations. They drop stuff off to us. It's crazy. It's just been so wonderful to see it so well received, and also, people not caring that we don't give them like a receipt afterwards. It's just like, just take it and love it, and it'll be used well. And to have artists, we've had so many amazing stories of like at the Princeton sale, the pop-up that we did, we had an artist come through who was looking just for supplies, as they do. They were an art student, and they found a book that they needed for their upcoming class. Amazing. That was like too expensive at the bookstore to buy.
Of course.
Yes. And so then it was a Stan Lee comic illustration book. And just the fact that we happened to have that, it was just such magic. It was incredible. And everyone has been so generous. I get asked a lot, like, well, if people can pay you nothing, do they do that? Like, do people take advantage? And people are always worried about that. And the truth is, no, people are always as generous as they can be, and they're honest, though, if anything. So sometimes people say, like, I only have $2 on me. I'm like, great, no problem. Because the person before you paid $100. So I don't always say that. But in my mind, that's what helps me be, you know, understanding of everything and know it's all going to balance out.
Yeah. And this is also something that you had learned about from somewhere else. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like the whole model of it you learned from somewhere else.
Yeah, so the first one I had heard about, it was actually just friends doing it. Friends of mine were doing it as like a yard sale, like flea market type thing where they did sliding scale art supplies for teachers. And I was like, oh, that's so smart. And then a friend of mine shared about the Hello Creativity Creative Reuse Center. I think that's in Ohio. And I looked them up and then also learned about Indigo Hippo. They're another great one in the Midwest. But I was like learning about this concept and seeing them everywhere but here. And I had learned about one in New York, but I haven't been out to it yet. But just learning about this concept and sharing the vision with everyone doing it is so exciting because everywhere needs this.
Absolutely. And you teach an online course and how to do it as well.
Yeah, I just had our first one. We had 31 people register to come.
Nice.
It was actually a day there was like a crazy storm happening, so we had about like half of those people actually show up, which was okay. I'll do it again. But again, I'm doing all of this in a way that's like, I'm not the creator of this. Like, I'm just a facilitator. I'm doing what's best for my business and how I host things, but I'm happy to share how I'm doing it and what you need to get started to do it. So I'll definitely be hosting that class again, probably next month, on how to do this yourself. But a way that I can share getting involved with people is if we collaborate and do a pop-up like I did with West Windsor, which is where I met you. So I'll do these as pop-ups with nonprofits or organizations as a fundraiser. So when I do them, we give a portion of the sales to the organization. Everything's still pay what you can, but it is $5 or more, whatever they decide, as a ticket price to get in, and that's also a fundraiser to this space. So it's, again, a win for them, a win for their community. People get to bring stuff to that location, and then we get to take home profits as well as other items that don't get sold and bring them back to our space.
Yeah. And I can say as somebody that attended one of the events that it was a win for me. I am actively using the paints that I got there, and they're brands that I wouldn't normally buy for myself. But I thought, well, hey, it's a pay what you can. Here's some acrylic brands I don't typically use. And they have been fantastic. And now they're actually brands that I would go out and buy professionally. So I found something new through going to one of these events. So if you're in New Jersey, I really recommend coming and checking one out, as well as the classes. Please come here, check out the space, take a class, or take an online course as well. They're all listed in the website. They'll be in the description below.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come out, shop, take a class. We also host private events, so you can have your birthday here. We do birthdays where it's like thrift-based, so it's like a flat rate and you can make whatever you want with what's up there. So some friend groups are like the perfect match for a party like that instead of like a paint and sip type thing, but we do it all.
Oh, that's so fun. I guess the last thing I want to ask you, just as an artist, how do you feel that having a small business like this and your own art practice works out? Is there a balance? Are you figuring that out? If you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm still figuring that out. People ask me like what my medium is, and recently I've been saying like small business owning is my medium, building this space is my medium, but I have big dreams and big plans for new projects that are experiential based, that are, you know, installation based. So I'm also learning to set boundaries and you know, invite more people in here to work for me and with me to help alleviate some of all of the work so that I can have time to work on that practice as well. Because a huge thing I learned in college with, you know, teaching professors that were artists was they tried to instill in us, like, we have creative practices ourselves. And that's why we're able to continue to teach you, because like we're learning still as creatives on the back end and doing things in our own studio space. So I'm still trying to get back to that. And I do have a Patreon that is my way of getting myself back into my studio, where it's also supporting this studio. I'm making items that can go into the vending machine. So it's a practice where like every month I will make something that is either a kit or an actual finished project And then my patrons get it, as well as it goes into the vending machine.
Fantastic.
So you can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Patreon, Propagate Studio NJ. It's $5 a month to do that. That's the only tier I have, and it helps support what we're doing here.
Thank you so much again for having us in your wonderful space.
You're welcome.
Everything will be in the description below. Please check it out. Please give a follow online, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, stay well and stay inspired. Bye.